And I might be some recency bias. It's been a while since I've read a Scott Snyder Batman book. So, and the last one I think was like a 42 part story arc. So that one was a little long in the tooth.
Yeah, I guess for me, I think it's hit and miss with Tom, and it was the same for me with Scott. I definitely loved the first two arcs that Scott did. I loved the Bloom arc. I absolutely detested the Mech Bat personally. I'm not saying it was poorly written. I just didn't like it. So there was a lot of ups and downs with Scott. With Tom's work, there's ups and there's downs with that as well. I don't know as if there's anything that... it's really hard when you say only Scott Snyder could have written The Court of Owls. Because he wrote it. Could somebody else have written it? Probably. But... I guess I think it's in execution, and I would say that through the first 30-some issues of Batman, I think Tom is every bit Scott's equal, and I think it's unfair to judge one against the other because what Scott did with the character was to develop a lot more surrounding pieces, things like the Court of Owls, things like Mr. Bloom, whereas Tom has done more with Bruce himself in development, especially with the engagement, things like that, the War of Jokes and Riddles, where it's been more internal Bruce Wayne as opposed to external and surrounding atmosphere. So I don't know as if it's fair to really compare the two from a purely output creative standpoint. I think they both have their positives and they both have their areas where you kind of go, well, it's all right.
Well, yeah, you love everybody.
No, I don't. Believe me.
But yeah, Tom King has to get credit for things like in the Button, the conversation he has with his father that kind of changes the entire persona and the way he is going forward. And this, I would assume the rest of Tom King's writing of Batman is going to flux a lot on that conversation and, and the impact it had on Bruce Wayne, did it have on Batman. And I don't think anything that Scott Snyder did necessarily changed the DNA of Bruce Wayne or Batman as much as that interaction has in the current Batman Tom King line.
Right. And he also gets credit for Monster Men. So so that's a demerit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, was that him fully? Because I think that there was
co-scripting, I think.
There was co-scripting because what happened during that was, it was Steve Orlando did the bulk of that, I believe. And Riley Rossmo, I think, was the artist, if that sounds right. But
he wasn't on it at all?
No, Tom King was on it, but I think the bulk of it was Steve Orlando because that was just when... Because that crossed over, too. That went into Nightwing, and it went into...
Yeah, it was 2 and 2. It was a 4-title issue.
He started on Steve Orlando.
Right, so we actually, Tim Seeley was, when he was in the shop, we talked to him about that a little bit, and he said, that was totally us having to get our legs underneath us, not realizing how fast the pace was going to be, and knowing that the publishing arm was not letting us be late. Steve came in and said, hey, I've got this idea, and the writers and artists were like, oh, thank God, we need to be able to get back on track a little bit. So they took that Monster Men mini and threw it in there as a way to kind of give them a little bit of a breather. So I'm not going to pin all of that on Tom, but his name's on the book, so I'll give him a little bit.
True. Now since I think 34 and 35 are both Joel Jones art, has Joel Jones art been noticed by your clients and pull list customers?
Well, one guy in particular lives in Ohio.
Yeah, he's a stalker. We don't want to talk about him.
No, so Batman has remained very consistent for us. What actually, I think, brought a little bit of an uptick to Batman was not so much the artist as it was the continuance of the proposal.
Gotcha.
That was the biggest thing. But once people opened the book and they saw it, what actually ended up happening is I've been able to sell more trades of Lady Killer. So,
cool. Wow, that's awesome.
Not necessarily a Batman uptick, but because Joelle's art is being seen, it allows us to sell her other stuff. So, works for me.
Awesome. Anything else in the top 10 that jumps out at you that you want to touch on? Anything that was interesting for you? Either one of you.
Batman Annual 2.
Oh yeah, great read.
Fantastic read, and I think that this might be a book, if you don't have it, I know we talk about a lot of books that flare up and then kind of dissipate over time. This might be one of those annuals that actually retains a good chunk of value because of the story that's in it with Selena. It ties in a little too much with a lot of what Tom is doing, and it's not a typical annual that is dispensable compared to the main line. I think that this one actually may get, at least that part of the story may get collected into some sort of future hardcover or something like that. So more from a creative and a content standpoint, I think Batman Annual 2 might be one for folks to just be aware of, and if they see it at cover or under, snag it, because we sold out day of. The buzz was big.
Yeah, like a DC holiday special.
Yeah, don't even get me started on that.
Now,
you want to talk about that?
I read that, and I liked it. I thought it was good. I mean, the standout for me was the Sergeant Rock, Tom King, Francavilla combo there that I could see being an ongoing just like that. But I'm not sure what else is driving the excitement about it. It was good. There were a lot of good stories in it, but what am I missing?
Well, what I would say you're missing is the very, very low supply of it. So I think James and I talked about it with Sam on the Comic Book Page Slack channel. What happened with that DC special was it was a $10 book. We had one person pre-order it. That doesn't give us a lot of confidence to get hung with a $10 book. So we didn't bring a lot in to put on the shelf. Well, the day before, so the Tuesday that before it came out, everybody starts sending us messages. Hey, can you pull this for me? Can you put it in my box? Every single person we had to say after the second or third person, because we had people walking in asking for it, we had to start saying, we don't have any copies of it. And the response of everybody was, well, nobody has any copies of it. And our response is because nobody pre-ordered it. You know, I get it. Everybody expects us, especially with the big two, to have the books on the shelf. But at the same time, from a retailer perspective, sometimes these books are total flops. And at $10 a pop, we're not going to stock 50 of them on the shelf.
Right.
Because if you take a 50% margin, that's $250.
Yeah.
We're not going to get stuck with that on one book.
And especially with it being seasonal, it kind of seems like it has a shelf limit too.
Exactly. So it was one of those things where this was a perfect example of why you want to pre-order if you can. And also it's a perfect example of why the speculator market is alive and well right now in comics without the variants. It's a book that shot up on the secondary market. I think it doubled in price because nobody had it. The print run was small. Are they going back to a second print? I don't know. And if they do, will it be a big buzz? I don't know. But yeah, that was a weird issue where there was no buzz about it come ordering, come FOC, nothing. But the day before it hits, everybody and their brother had to have it. So that was a tricky one.
Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, I thought it was a good read, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But I guess it's just rarity.
I think a lot of it was scarcity. Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything else on the top tens or number of items shipped or anything that stands out that anybody wants to talk about? We're going to wrap this up.
I've got one last thing, and that's looking at the dollar share between Marvel and DC. So Marvel wins the dollar share again.
Well, I don't think that's a feather in their cap, right?
I don't as well, and
I guess their shareholders probably do though.
Nah, maybe depends. The reason, from obvious eyes, but I mean, not everybody listening may have those obvious eyes. For us, Marvel titles are $1 more per issue, so you've got that. For the month, DC shipped 95 comics and 36 graphic novels or trades. Marvel shipped 85 comics and 46 graphic novels and trades. So 131 for each of them total combined shipped. but at a dollar figure much higher for Marvel, right? Because you got DC trades that are anywhere from $14.99 to $16.99. Marvel trades are usually $16.99 to $24.99. Plus, you can always count on a couple of omnibus from Marvel in the $100 to $125 range. And DC, I think they had a Batman omnibus that came out at $75, and maybe a Flash omnibus that came out at $100. So, yeah, it's honestly, if I was DC, I would say this is a huge win. This is a huge month for us.
Yes.
We totally, and this is actually one of the things that I've talked to John about when you're looking at strength of publishing is what's the dollars per page kind of thing or cents per page as opposed to total dollars shared. Because if you've got, a jacked up page price due to higher price for trades, single issues, whatever, yeah, you're always going to win. But normalize it over that, and all of a sudden, maybe you'll see somebody pulling ahead. Maybe Image has a normalized percentage of 16% instead of 8% because they have $9.99 first trades on most of their volumes. So it's kind of how you look at it. But I would just say that to your point, Drew, winning this month on dollar share by less than about 1.5% is not really a huge win.
And crushing on unit share. I mean, it's a dominating lead on unit share, and I mean, I am not a fanboy either way for DC or Marvel. I read a lot of Marvel, I read a lot of DC, and I'm up and down on both publishers depending on what the quality of their books are from time to time. But I would say I feel like Marvel's on shakier ground. It seems to me that to get to their market share, they're doing a lot of variant printing, and up your order to unlock this, where a lot of their comics are sitting unsold on shelves, whereas DC's, since they're open to order, I get the feeling that they're selling through a larger percentage of their comics off the comic store shelves. But I could be wrong. That's just my sense.
No, that's definitely true in our store. DC sells through because, like you said, it's open order. We don't have to jump through any hoops. But I think in our last episode, James came clean a little bit and said, "Yeah, we're making more money on Marvel than we are on DC because we have those incentive variants that we're selling." And to be quite honest, it's a 50-50 split. We're selling 50% of them in-store, and we're selling 50% of them online through things like eBay or other groups. So, we're making a little bit more money on Marvel. Would we rather be making the money on Marvel the way we're making it on DC? Absolutely, because we can count on it. We can bank it. Yeah. We can forecast it, all of that.
And as a retailer, you don't have to care how you make your money as much as us as we're just readers, and we sit up on top of our mountaintop and look down upon the business aspect of the industry, and we just say, oh well, dog, if it was just great story writing and la 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 la. Well, we know there's business attached to this stuff, and you have. It doesn't matter if there's 150 copies of Venom gathering dust in the back room, because you already made plenty of profit off of that. So if you may have sold through the Christmas special, everything that you ordered, but you didn't make as much. So it doesn't matter that you're sitting on copies and they're not actually selling through, because you've made more money with it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the business aspect brings a whole different view than just the reader and collector aspect of it. That's for sure. And it's one of those things where, as a business, and we've talked about this, I think, before, we don't go in for every Marvel incentive variant. We don't go in for all of those 1-in-1000s. We've done 4 of them now. Phoenix Resurrection is one that we're going to do, one of the 1-in-1000s. But there's very calculated and specific reasons as to why. And each one of those is completely different than the other. And it takes a lot of thinking, number crunching. A lot of those pieces have to be put in place before you make that decision. Some businesses can probably get away with it easier than others. Maybe a DCBS who they may have 800 or 900 subscribers, and if it's a mainline Marvel or DC book, sure, they're going to hit that 1 in 1,000 a lot easier. Yeah. But from I would say 90% of retailers, there's considerable thought. Now, there's probably 50 or 60% of retailers that don't even bat an eye and aren't even going to think about it.
Yeah.
But there's some of us that are in the middle that each one that comes along, we crunch the numbers, we figure out, is it worth it, is it not, and go for it, if it's something we think we can. Now, the Phoenix Resurrection with the Artgerm covers that are on there, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, James reached out to Marvel and said, hey, if you make they had the first Artgerm cover, if you make that part of the 1 in 1,000, we'll buy 1,000 copies, because we know that an Artgerm cover is going to have long legs.
Yeah.
And David Gabriel came back and said, all right, you know what, we'll do it. And that was the whole reason why Marvel came out and said, okay, so this is going to be an open to order and count towards your 1,000, and then you're going to have the Virgin Artgerm as the whatever it was, 1 in 100 or 1 in 200. So you can thank James. Everybody out there can thank James from Cowabunga Comics for pushing that with Marvel. So we will have 1,000 of those Artgerm covers here.
That's super cool.
Yeah, we've pre-sold a lot of the variants already through other means, both in the store and online. So we're already in the green on it, which is that's the main goal. But with that calculated risk of having those Artgerms, if we have 800 Artgerms sitting in our back room, that's fine. We can toss one of those out there, and we know that Artgerms are going to sell over a very long period of time. We're still selling Artgerm Batgirls. We're selling anything that comes in with his art on it goes for at least cover, if not double, triple, quadruple cover. So even if we make cover on them, we're already in the green. We're good.
Now you do not have to spill this because this is a business practice inside, so you don't have to tell me. Do you have more than one customer that goes for the big 1 in 1,000 variants that you reach out to personally before you make that decision?
Yes, we do.
So it's more than one.
Yep, we have a couple of folks that we talk to.
Whales,
usually they
as we
will
call them.
Yes, they will usually engage us and inquire about what the price is going to be on something. So, and I will add in with as Marvel is wont to do, there's always this beautiful thing called Marvel Math, right? Which in most cases is meet this percent, get this, that, or the other. Well, in the case of Phoenix, they offered a deep discount, and we won't go into what that number is, but based on a certain percentage increase of an order of A over B, they will add anywhere from 5 to 15% of an additional discount on top of your normal discount.
Wow.
And
highly profitable book at this point.
Right. So Phoenix had an additional deep discount. Like I said, I'm not going to go to what it was, but that deep discount gave us enough to say, hey, all right, we can pre-sell these variants. We can pull some of these variants in on the shelf, and we know that they'll sell pretty quick. And then we'll have all these Artgerms in the back. It all worked out very, very well for this title. And that's essentially what has to happen for us to decide to do a 1 in 1,000, unless somebody comes in and is willing to pay whatever the full market value of that 1 in 1,000 is. Sometimes it's $2,000, sometimes it's $3,000. The ASM 25, that was a case of a deep discount on top of a buyer who wanted that ASM 1 in 1,000, that ASM 1 in 1,000. We had there was the Venom that had the same thing, again, had a deep discount. So it really, there's a lot of pieces that go into play. James and I, we've talked about it numerous times of just setting up a recording when we're doing our ordering, but there's just a little too much inside baseball that we can't give away.
Yeah.
So we're just so hesitant to do that. But really, the entire previews takes probably about an hour to an hour and a half for us to go through. And Marvel takes about 2.5 hours by the time we crunch all the numbers and go through everything. And it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but I'll say this. Retailers that are making money are taking that time.
Yeah.
And that time happens between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m.
That's awesome. That's cool. That's cool. I mean, I think yeah, having a bird in hand, knowing that you're going to be able to sell those, for a certain price, gives you the ability to pull the trigger on these a lot easier than, putting them out on eBay as a pre-sale and hoping that you get to a dollar amount that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And if there's anyone out there listening that wants those Artgerm Phoenix number ones, if you want to get 5 or 10 of them, we'll cut you a good price. No doubt about it. So just let us know.
Yeah, because you're going to have 1,000 of them.
We'll have a handful, yeah.
Minus whatever.
Yeah. Yep. So, no, I mean, it's one of those things where there's a ton of work that goes into it. Ordering does take usually around 5 hours by the time it's all said and done, and then FOC each week takes probably another hour and a half.
Yeah.
So in a month's worth of books, you're looking at close to 10 to 12 hours just looking at numbers, trying to order what's going to sell through the store, which is, again, that's why we try and encourage anyone who can pre-order as much as possible. It helps us because it takes a little bit of that ambiguity out.
Yeah. Speaking of FOC, do you want to do FOC before or after Kyle takes us to the sneak peek?
Why don't we do it before?
Okay.
Now, you guys, I sent you guys both the FOC that goes in Monday.
Yes.
You got that? Okay. So yeah, it's as always, the FOC is usually comes out anywhere from 2 to 5 weeks ahead of when things are going to hit, depending on the publisher and depending on what the actual content is. Did you guys get a chance to look through and see anything?
I did. I looked through it, yeah.
Okay.
I gave it a quick look.
You guys want to call stuff out first?
I was thinking of upping my order on some of the Batman metal stuff. And
okay.
But I'm mulling it over. I don't think so. I did get my White Knight 3 didn't get damaged, right? Or
your White Knight 3 will be coming in when we get the restock. So fingers crossed, everything is good. I did reach out to DC personally, and I asked if it was a widespread damage that other people saw, and the response from them was no. And I trust them. I take it to the bank because they have been very, very good at letting us know. In fact, they've gone out of their way to send both Facebook notifications, phone calls, text messages, and emails to say, hey, we've gotten a lot of reports that this book is miscut, misprinted. Please let us know ASAP if you see that issue. And they did not do that with White Knight 3. They said quite the contrary. So I'm going to take them at their word that yours should be just fine. But we will have a plethora of the second prints coming in to be safe. And we do have a couple of the damaged White Knight 3's first prints here as well.
And I was thinking about upping my order on Batman 39 too. Because I think 39 was when there was going to be a new villain introduced. Maybe was that 39 or 40? I'll have to look at the solicit. Oh, there's the link to the solicit. How handy!
You're welcome.
That was very nice. Very nice. Not this one, I don't think. This is part of that Super Friends.
Yeah, the tie-in or the mini event. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in DC, if we're going to talk about anything, James and I, when we look at ordering, we always try and figure out what has the best legs on the shelf. So in this case, Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 2, number 3, the variant edition is what we're stocking for the shelf. That's the Kevin Eastman cover.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much anyone that wants Batman is going to be going for Kevin Eastman. But most stores will just do the A cover because it's one line item. It's easier to track. So that's one that I would say I always keep an eye out for. Kevin Eastman covers, whether it's TMNT, Batman TMNT, doesn't really matter. Those always sell through off the shelf.
Very good call.
The thing that the only thing that jumped out to me is the second print of Teen Titans 12.
Yeah,
which is your first appearance of your Batman Who Laughs.
Yep. Yes. So the first print sat on shelves for almost 2 months with nary a whiff of paying cover price for it, and shot up to, I don't know, what prices do you guys see for it? I mean, it was cruising around at $15-20, I think, for a little while.
Yeah. I saw it hit 30 at one point.
Yep. So that one is one that we will be stocking. But again, since some of the buzz has already dropped off of it, we're probably not going to go too deep. If anybody would want a second printing, recommend you talk to your retailer and either make sure you have it or ask them to order it for you.
Ice Cream Man, I didn't even order that the first time around in the pre-order cycle. Are you getting buzz on that from Image?
So, honestly, we haven't really gotten any buzz. I completely missed it as well. I added it to my pull list. It actually sounded pretty good because it... So right in the solicit, it says, Ice Cream Man is a genre-defining comic book series featuring disparate one-shot tales of sorrow, wonder, and redemption. To me, having kind of that one-shot aspect of an ongoing type thing makes it a little bit easier to sell. And I don't know, the B cover is kind of creepy.
Is it Fraser Irving?
Yeah. So that was one I actually added it to my pull list. It's not widely known in our shop, to say the least.
Yeah, I think I'll add that one too.
Would you like an A cover or B cover, sir?
If you're getting a B cover, I'll get a B cover too.
All right.
Kyle only gets cover A's, but I spread things around.
Make all those artists feel good. Those artists that you don't believe bring much to the book.
I think they're super valuable. I love artists. I should have just kept my mouth shut.
So, yeah, through DC Image, it's pretty much kind of standard fare. You get down into the Marvel stuff, and you get all that fun Marvel math where you've got kind of you must order at least X amount to get this. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to see if there's really anything that jumped out at me.
Oh, there's one more thing that jumped out at me.
Oh, yeah.
Witchblade number 2, number 1 flew like crazy, very unexpectedly. So I think 2 is going to fly as well.
Is that a
Image?
No, is that based on a video game?
No, but it's just based on a previous property. But I didn't think the next iteration would do much, but it sold completely out in very, very, very short amount of time.
Huh. Yeah, so on this FLC, we have both the second print of number 1 and number 2, both expected to hit shelves January 10th.
Yeah.
Which one are you thinking?
Probably the second print. It doesn't. I was gonna say I don't see anything specific in here about a reprint of what it looks like.
Yeah, I've got the cover here.
You can click on the little link there. It'll show the cover. Unless it doesn't show the cover. Yeah, does that look
shows
familiar?
It on my side.
Does that look like the same one, Kyle?
I have no idea.
I don't remember what the first one looked like. Because I wasn't interested in it at all.
Let's
Caitlin
just take a look
Kittredge?
here.
Is that who that is?
Huh. Looks exactly like the first cover.
Yeah.
So either they haven't released the cover art for the second one, they're just using the first, or it's just a
It's got to have some
straight
kind
reprint.
of embossed something somewhere that says second printing.
Yeah, it could just be in the code.
There's also a retailer appreciation gold of that one somewhere floating around.
Indeed, there be. I'm trying to think. Well, yeah. Honestly, in Image, the one thing that jumps out for new number 1s, the one that has definitely the most buzz is Days of Hate from Alish Kott.
Yeah.
So that one's got a few folks on it. All right, so good to jump to Marvel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of little variant things for the Avengers stuff. None of it really is looking like a must get as far as artists, but you do have a Sienkiewicz Legion number 1 variant.
I was looking at that. I'm grabbing that cover right now to look at it. I might. Murky Sienkiewicz.
Mm-hmm. That washed out watercolory type.
Pretty nice. That's pretty nice. Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay. The other It's on a number 2.
I don't think I ordered that, so...
No, you did not. The other one is Marvel 2-in-1 number 2, has a Gabriel Dell'Otto variant. So Dell'Otto is one of those artists that tends to do a pretty good job of selling off of the shelf. So we're able to move some of those. That's one that a lot of stores won't get because they'll just get a number 2. They'll just get the A cover and whatever they pick up along the way. There is a meter exceed 80% of issue number 1, so that can throw a few things in for folks. So that's one that I would look out for. Let's see. Well, I'm just going to call it out. Not that anybody has to get it, but Punisher Max hardcover Volume 1 Omnibus. If you love Punisher, if you love Garth Ennis, it's $100 for the first one. It's good. It's a good get. Ouch. Unless you go through a reputable LCS who might give you a discount.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that's the opus of Ennis's Punisher work. So yeah,
it's unbelievable, and a lot of what they are building the Netflix Punisher off of is what came out of the Max line. Not necessarily the individual stories, but certainly the tone, kind of the psyche of Frank Castle and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely, I would consider it, if you're a Punisher fan or a Marvel Max fan, it is definitely required reading. Going into some of the back half stuff, I'm going to jump down to Dynamite Entertainment, and Drew, this one's for you.
Yeah.
Red Sonja number 12, cover C.
Who dat?
Pia Guerra.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Is doing a Red Sonja cover. I know that you tend to jump on some of her stuff, so that's one that I was going to call it. It is open to order. We don't have a preview image, unfortunately, but that is one that I am looking at. And also, for those retailers that can go deep on Red Sonja, there is a 30-copy Guerra black and white variant as well.
You're not doing that.
Who says?
You're not doing 30. You're not doing 30 copies of Red Sonja 12, are you?
Well, Kyle ordered 28 copies of the cosplay variant.
That helps, I guess.
No, so we may do that.
Really?
We'll see. We will see.
There's not I can't believe there's that many subscribers.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a few other things on here that are not so much spec stuff, but more just kind of getting into it. So one of the things that I would say, anyone who's down with a hard case crime, you're going to have the next Millennium Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest number 2 is on FOC. So if you missed that, get that in. That's one that I definitely would advocate for. I like those hard case crime books myself. Oddly enough, one of the books that's getting a couple of folks jumping onto from Zenescope is Robin Hood the Curse number 1. So this is the female Robin Hood. It's written by Chuck Dixon, so obviously some good writer chops there. This one's got actually a handful of subscribers on it, so none of the other Zenescope Robin Hood books have thus far. I don't know what it is with this one, but that may be something just for folks that are Chuck Dixon fans to be aware of. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Are they coming out with all this stuff the same week?
So yeah, all of it is slated to hit January 31st. You've got Darkon number 1, Dual Identity 1, Katrina 1, and then Markiplier 2, Villain 2, Wayward Legends number 1, and Wayward Sons number 1, all hitting on the same day. I have a feeling that that's going to change. That kind of stuff usually doesn't happen, but good.
They've put out triples of comics for a year, and now they're going to flood it in this week. That doesn't make any sense.
Yep. Now, yeah, we've got a couple of pre-orders for some of them. One that we don't have any on, but actually looks a little intriguing to me, is Dual Identity number 1. I'm kind of big into the whole secret agent, spy, espionage, all that kind of stuff. So, superhero that has to be a secret agent sounds kind of good.
I like the Katrina one. I was leaning towards that one.
Katrina, yep. We do have a couple of folks pre-ordering for that.
Interesting.
Vampires from Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah. I like that stuff. Probably kind of close to that Moonshine, but maybe a little different. That's more cannibals, right? That's wolves.
Yeah.
Werewolves, yeah.
Yep.
Nice. FOC is cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's was it 200 some items on FOC this week, so we're not going to go through all of them because a lot of it is just the continuance of things. However, it is good to be aware of, and if you can, get a list from your retailer so that you know what's coming up for orders.
All right. Kyle, you want to take us to December 20th?
Sure, if that's all for that. Let's head over to previewsworld.com. We're going to look at December 20th, 2017, the penultimate week of December, the second to last week of 2017. And let's start where we always like to start. Let's see what we have in Dark Horse.
We've got Krampus. Is that the Holiday Krampus by Mike Mignola?
Hellboy, Krampus Nacht.
Oh, Krampus.
Number 1.
Okay. Not the same Krampus.
Yeah, I think.
Mike Mignola and Adam Hughes. Man.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's only one cover that really anyone should care about, and that's the Hughes sketch variant, in my opinion. But no, we've got a healthy dosage of these coming in. Either one, the A or the B cover, is definitely going to be where that, I guess, that longer-term money is going to be, the Adam Hughes cover. You don't really see Adam Hughes with Mike Mignola very often, so if you can get both covers A and B, I think that those are going to be covers that you're going to want.
Yeah, that's and that sketch variant is pretty cool.
Yep.
Joe Golem, Occult Detective Flesh and Blood, number 1. More Mike Mignola, this time with Christopher Golden writing with him. Occult Detective Joe Golem continues to protect New York City from supernatural danger when he investigates a home that has become a hotbed of paranormal activity, but the real danger may be from the person he least suspects. First issue of a new arc. I'm not familiar with Joe Golem.
Yeah, it's in that whole Mignola verse, isn't it?
Yes.
Part of that. I'm done with Dark Horse if you guys are.
I'm not sure anything about Empowered Sista Spooky High School Hell. Adam Warren book. Yeah, a bunch of volume. Okay, it's again another previous title that I'm not familiar with, so just continuation stuff. All right, let's head on down to DC.
So Joel's not on Batman anymore. It's Michael Janin now.
I think this is just the second part of a 2-issue thing that Mikkel has done.
No,
so
it's a couple. It's at least 3.
Is it?
Yeah, because Super Friends was on the FOC.
That's right. Yes.
3.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing probably maybe even a 6. That's how they usually do it, right? So
you are correct.
So we'll see who gets the next arc after that.
Correct. You got Batman TMNT, number 2 of 6. Your A and B covers both are great. Freddie Williams on the A cover and Kevin Eastman on the B cover. Both are lovely
cool
people to talk to, by the way.
Man,
And Dark Knight's Metal 4, of course, coming out.
it's gonna blow up.
You betcha.
Huh. Sorry, I keep looking at these covers. I'm not looking at anything but looking at art.
Yeah, the B covers are always really cool.
And then Jim Lee and Scott Williams on that 4th one.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I think they've... I know that Lee's done everyone. I think Kubert's done the other ones for Metal.
take a look at the Frank Cho pencil sketch cover for Harley Quinn 33.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that the final cover, you think?
No, it's going to be colored. At least from what we've been told through the DC channels, it'll be fully colored. DC has really, really gone out of their way to help retailers by providing all of the covers for us by FOC date. Marvel isn't usually as good about that, unfortunately, but DC has been really, really good, and I believe that a lot of that is feedback that retailers have given, but also because they have open-to-order variants. So there's really no incentive for us to order a variant if we can't see what it looks like and actually know what we're ordering. If we don't see it, we're just going to go with the A cover because by and large the A covers are always in there. So this is really more for them to give us better details. So this will be fully colored like every Frank Cho one has been as far as we're aware.
But you know what? These covers aren't in the previous catalog. You don't get
correct.
You don't get to see them in the pre-order cycle. So that's another reason to maybe take a closer look at that FOC. That cover might be available at by FOC.
Yes, DC the cover's always available by FOC, and if it's not, sometimes they'll pull the cover or they'll substitute a different cover.
So when Kyle and I have our previews and we're flipping through, and you guys too, when you're flipping through and looking at the covers, you a lot of times they don't show. It might not even have the artist at the time. It might be TBD.
Right, he's very, very good. He does a lot of stuff. Or she. I don't know if it's a he or she, but they do a lot of work.
Yeah. Look at the Justice League 35 variant. That's pretty sweet.
There's never a cover B worth it for Nightwing, unfortunately.
It's J.G. Jones on the Justice League B cover.
Oh.
Dang. Yeah, Nightwing's just phoning it in.
Has been the most of the series run.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we've got Sons of Tomorrow will be both in Super Sons and Superman. So, a little crossover event going on there. Part 2 in Super Sons and part 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 is in Superman and 2 is in Super Sons.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah, I've been loving these books, so I'm psyched about it.
I like the B cover, the Dustin Nguyen cover on Super Sons 11. And then I think I just like the A the most on Superman 37. That Ivan Rice cover A. It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah. But they're both nice. I mean, I could see somebody going all in on both covers of everything. They are glorious.
Did you read any of the Wonder Woman Conan, or did you read the first one?
I read that. I'm still reading it.
Are you still reading it? Gotcha. We are on 4 of 6 of that series, co-published with Dark Horse. In that case,
Aaron Lopresti cover B is nice.
Mm-hmm. And Trinity's got a really cool Jason Fabok cover B. Very cool. Anything else in DC?
Well, I didn't know Jim Lee was doing Wildstorm covers. I guess that makes sense, right? That was that his? Wasn't Wildstorm his creation over at Image?
You betcha. Yep.
Yeah, I think Warren Ellis is doing a better job than he did, quality wise. But it's been 30 years since I've read a Jim Lee Wildstorm, so it's tough to point out. Anything else in DC for you, Eric?
No, nothing for me. Nothing out of the ordinary.
All right. Let's head on now, see if we can find anything in IDW.
I'm excited about Assassinistas, the Teeny Howard, Gilbert Hernandez book. I think it looks to be kind of weird and trippy, and I'm interested in this Black Crown imprint of IDW.
That's what I was going to ask you about. Yeah.
Because, I know, Kyle, you've struggled to get an inroad in IDW. You've tried and tried and tried and can't find anything. So maybe this Black Crown imprint will be a way for us to look. It'll be stuff that we can at least check out and sample.
I would be interested in reading the comic associated with the cover B, but not interested in reading the comic associated with cover A.
I believe they're one and the same, sir. The Sanford Green cover is pretty nice.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be more things from the Black Crown imprint and in the coming months. So I think that'll be cool. Eric, do you stock the comic book history of comics in your store?
We do not. No, it's actually we never get pre-orders for it. And the nice thing about IDW is that most of their stuff is available for quite a long time after it comes out for reorders. So that IDW in general tends to be stuff that we will be able to reorder for someone when they come in and have it within a week to 2 weeks.
I would think these history comics of the comic book industry would do well in trade, more so than floppy.
Yeah, and they're more of a pocket subgenre, and again, it's one of those things where you know your market and you know who you are going to potentially sell this to, and if they don't have any interest in it, then why stock it per se for the hopeful. Now, if we were in a market like New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, something like that, Chicago, where there was hundreds of thousands of people a week that are going to be walking by the store, yeah, sure, maybe we'd stock a copy of it. But for us, no, this isn't something that we would stock unless if it was pre-ordered.
Kyle, we've been to Chicago like 3 or 4 times now, right? And we still haven't gone to a comic shop in Chicago.
Yeah, I walk by the one at Millennium Park all the time, but never get the chance to go in.
We should do that. We should do that once. Not that it.
We probably should.
We're not trying to cheat on you, Eric. But we like to.
No. James and I, whenever we travel anywhere, we always go see the local stores because it. We've done an episode or 2 on it where we'll do shop crawls where we go and look at what's working in other stores. We look at what they stock. We look at how their store is laid out. Of course, we compare ourselves to them and say, oh, we're better at this or that. But there's actual things that we take every time from other retailers that we like, the visual presentation of something. And so we do it in our store. Sometimes it works. Most of the time it does. Sometimes it doesn't. So, no, it's by all means. And whenever I go into one of those stores, unless if I am just completely turned off, I always try and spend a few bucks. So it's not a bad thing at all. It keeps the industry going, the market going, and there's a good chance that they may have something that we don't that catches your eye, and you're like, oh, son of a gun. Now that I can hold it in my hands and look at it, I'll buy it.
They got a whole end cap.
I like listening to
DC holiday specials.
I doubt you're going to
listening
find
to your guys' podcast when you go into one of those comic book shops with the gruff, know-everything owners that just the one guy.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some single ownership guys that do everything that are fantastic, and there's some stores that have a plethora of employees that we would rather never walk back into again. So it's not one or the other, but yeah, but it's I think anyone in any small business, you can gain so much by going to different stores and seeing what works, and it can help you be that differentiator, take that next step. You can find that pocket product that you have that nobody else has that can set you above and make you that true destination. So it's worth it.
All right. Anything else in IDW?
No.
Not a thing.
Swing and a miss. Strike 2. Image Comics. Let's see what they got for us this
Hey
week.
guys, don't sleep on Dark Fang. The first issue was awesome. So take another look at Dark Fang. I know it looks maybe derivative and played out, but it's not. It was a fun modern vampire tale. Really liked it. At least that first issue.
Tagline at the back end of the solicit. Also, what does all this have to do with a swimming pool full of grape jello?
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but yeah, the first issue was great. I don't know what the second issue is going to be, but the first issue was great. Did you like Evolution? Anyone?
Didn't read it.
Yeah,
Didn't read it.
didn't do it for me. How about Family Trade?
Yes, I do like that.
Do you like it? I thought
I do.
I thought it was okay. I am liking Genius Cartel. I like it better than I think the first volume. Surprised.
Oh yeah, the Mark Bernardin. Now, did they release all 5 of these books in successive weeks?
No.
All right.
It'll take a little longer this time.
Very nice.
Headlopper's still hanging around. That's cool. I stopped reading it. $6.
Invincible. How close are we to the end?
Second to last.
Second to last.
Penultimate.
Oh yeah, your
Invincible.
penultimate. Exactly.
One more issue after this until the end. We are as sad as you
And
are.
is this the penultimate of spread?
Oh man, it might be.
Can we go back to
Jack
Invincible
versus
real quick?
everyone.
Sure.
Yeah, go back. Yeah, definitely.
So, as I've been watching this come towards the end, I do have to wonder if the end of Invincible isn't going to be the start of something new.
Ooh.
The son of Mark Grayson coming in. I just curious as to whether or not that there will be this issue in this case could be something where, you know, the son could be the main character of a follow-up series that starts at a new number 1, gives Kirkman a launch point. I don't know, but Kirkman seems to be the kind of guy that wants to have a couple series going at a time, and it does make me wonder if jumping in with characters that are kind of already there in a world that already exists isn't going to be an easier, a better jump in and hook more people potentially. So that's more of me just curiosity or wondering as opposed to solid fact and knowledge.
But he already has that third title coming, with is it Ribic? Who's the guy that he's got the other book launch with coming up? I can't remember, but yeah, he's got Outcast, Walking Dead, and whatever this new one is that's coming out soon.
Right. Yeah, I just don't know if down the road this will be something that turns up.
I would be super surprised if he goes back to the well after 144 issues, but maybe.
Either way, pick up that last issue and maybe even this one.
It's been a crazy arc. I'll tell you that. Did you read the one with the sun battle? Eric, you read it?
No, I've paged through a few issues here and there, but I'm not fully versed in it.
Cool stuff.
We're still trickling out Walking Dead tribute variants, and we have Rockstars number 8.
You're shining me.
No, wouldn't do such a thing.
Well, I'm sure Eric's got that coming for me.
Sure do.
I can't believe how long some of these are taking. That's about it.
Realms and Redlands and everything else. All right, let's head on and see what Marvel's got for us this week.
How many subs you got on Redlands up there?
Redlands, we've got a handful.
Yeah.
Actually, it's one of the better.
It's growing, right?
Yeah, it's growing, and it's one of the better younger. I would say younger, as in lower numbered Image series, for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, Jordi Belair. But number 2, it's kept to a schedule, and that is key for any independent book.
Yeah. Don't take a 3-month hiatus if you can help it.
I mean, you can do it if it's the end of an arc and a trade break. People understand it at this point, but
If you're a superstar.
don't do it in between issues 2 and 3,
Yeah.
or don't take 2.5 years off between issues 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Non-player.
Non-player.
Great book, by the way. Fantastic book. But yeah.
We talked a bit on FOC about Marvel 2-in-1. So here we have the first issue of Marvel 2-in-1 written by Chip Zdarsky.
Oh, can we talk
The
about
Thing and the Human
Champions real
Torch.
quick?
Sure.
Do you guys read this at all?
Nope.
I have to be honest, I don't read much Marvel right now. But you've been thumping the Champions drum for a number of months now.
Yeah.
You had it in your 12 books of
Yeah.
Christmas.
Got the
Yeah, I think-
writer wrong, but yeah. They
But see, writers don't really make that much of a difference.
true. That's true. Oh,
Just kidding.
man, you're not gonna get invited.
Just
back.
kidding, Chip. I'm just kidding.
So it killed off a character who I love, but maybe it didn't kill that person off. So, I just didn't know if you guys had read it and had a take on it. So, I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't read it yet, the last issue yet. But it brought a tear to my eye. It was traumatic. We can move on.
Sorry to hear that.
Hey, man, that's good writing, right? When you can write a character that the readers care so much about that it affects them when something bad happens to them. That's good.
Absolutely. Cry on them funny books. It lowers the resale value, so be careful.
Oh, but
and like I said,
FYI,
the 2-in-1s.
FYI, not this Doctor Strange, but an upcoming Doctor Strange arc. Donny Cates is doing writing a team up with Moon Knight coming in. So for all you Moon Knight fans out there, both of you, please don't miss that if you want to. If you aren't reading Doctor Strange, which you should be because Donny Cates is crushing it.
Huh? I'm not seeing a ton.
You guys are anti-Marvel.
No, I'm not anti-Marvel. I was at one point all into Marvel, but I don't. I did 2 issues of X-Men Gold. It wasn't anything for me. I don't know anybody who's interested in 22 issues of Poe Dameron.
How about Marvel 2-in-1 though? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I talked about that. It looks pretty cool. We talked about the first one. This is Zdarsky writing the first one.
Excited about that, right?
I mean, it's different members of the Fantastic Four, which I'm not real into.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
This will be one of those titles I will pick and choose if it's interesting or not interesting. But here's your Fate of the Fantastic Four.
Moon Knight goes to a second printing, which Kyle bullied me.
Which also brings a tear to your eye.
Kyle bullied me into ordering.
Why wouldn't you? Completionist aspect.
Yeah.
Just do it.
You can't not have that.
And it's a Sienkiewicz cover.
I know.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, but it's a second print.
Good looking book, man. Good looking book.
Mighty Thor.
Tales of Suspense 100.
Which one?
Anything Tales of Suspense number 100?
Yeah.
Starting the Red Ledger Part 1, Matthew Rosenberg, with art by Travel Foreman.
Yeah, Matt Rosenberg's the new hot Marvel guy, but he is writing an awful lot of books. You know how I feel about that?
Become the Jason Aaron of Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a variant of this one too, I believe.
On FOC?
No, I think there was 2 covers of this book when it was originally solicited.
Independently artable?
Probably not.
Because normally,
No.
I was going to say, normally the non-inventory are in the new printings and listings. This is just the stuff that comes out.
Yep.
Well, I am super excited about X-Men Grand Design. You know how much I love Hip Hop Family Tree, Ed Pisker's Fantagraphics work.
Oh, yeah, we talked about
this.
this.
So he is now going to do an X-Men history book in his art style. And I think it's going to be fantastic. But I don't know if his art style is going to mesh with a lot of people in his writing style, but I hope it clicks, because at $6 it's a big investment.
Yeah, $6. We got a big page count in this.
Yeah. I did not get the any of the variants. I got the A cover on this.
This was a book that a lot of people added after the initial order was put in. So I don't know if that gives anyone any insight, but it's one that definitely has picked up a little bit of buzz as we've gone along.
I wonder why. It just got missed? Fell through the cracks?
I think that might have been a part of it, and I think it also came out without as much fanfare as like Wade returning to the Avengers and things like that.
Yeah.
So it just kind of got lost in the wash.
That's true. There's so many storylines going on everywhere. It's tough.
Right.
You do a lot of these True Believers $1 covers for Marvel?
Hit or miss. Depends on the character. Obviously, New Mutants 98, we definitely went all in on a bunch of those. We sold through, and they're out of print and going for up to $10 on eBay, which is nuts. So we'll do certain things like that. Obviously, The Walking Dead through Image, we do the $1 start. Saga, we do that one. But the Phoenix ones, we've kind of been pick or choose. We kind of see where pre-orders go. Actually, we get a healthy number of people that want that issue for $1 just to kind of have it. Other ones that have done really good. I think they did a Hulk 181. I think they did a Mutants 87. So, any of those key issues where there's a first appearance are going to be big. Sometimes the character development key issues aren't as big, so a lot of these Phoenix ones haven't really done it as much.
Gotcha. All right. Anything else in Marvel before we move on down?
No.
All right. Let's check out our Booms, our Dynamites, our Archies, our Titans.
Our Aftershocks with Backways #1, written by Justin Jordan, your boy, and art by Eleonora Carlini. There is a hidden nation, a nation of magic and madness, one that exists in all the forgotten spaces, your basement, your attic, your haunted house down the street. Any one of those might be a part of the Backways. Sounds good.
And my boy Ben Templesmith on the cover B.
And this is a slam dunk then.
Yeah.
And we saw that Catalyst Prime too, and that's a pre-existing property, correct?
Mm-hmm. You gonna read the end of Centipede?
Yes. I still have issue 4 sitting there. I haven't read it yet, but I want to read 5 too.
I click on issue 5, cover 1, and it shows me the cover for issue 4. So I think it's issue 5. Yeah, we go. The B cover is issue 5.
We got Fence #2 coming out. Fence #1 was, I think, a little bit of a quiet entry. We sold out. We did stock a couple for the shelf. Sold out, I think, Thursday after the first one came out. I don't know as if it's really done anything on the secondary market, but definitely one that caught a little bit more buzz than what we were expecting.
Yeah.
Drew was big on that when we went over in our preview selection, I believe.
I was excited about that one, yeah.
Yep.
Well, you guys, you two can get your Trump book there. There you go. Donald Trump stole Christmas.
I'll read it to you on Christmas Eve.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
Zombie Tramp, Z Nation. Nothing else really jumping out at me.
I'm behind on Lazaretto. I only read the first issue. I haven't read any more since then, so that's stacking up. Made Men. I heard good things, but I haven't got a chance to read that. There's a new Quantum and Woody, though. I'm excited about that because that was one of my favorite Valiant books, and I have dropped off of all Valiant books. I haven't read a single Valiant in a while. So I'm excited to give this one a shot. And this one's going to be written by Daniel Kibblesmith. I don't know him that well at all. I guess he's a writer from The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. So how that translates, I just don't know. And art by Kano. But yeah, Quantum and Woody's been gone for a while, so I'm kind of looking forward to reading that again.
And did you guys qualify for the most variant of all variants?
We did.
Oh, did
you get one of those?
We pre-sold it.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool. That was.
Yep.
They need to do that, like a second print of something or third print or something, and just at least like a. I don't know. Regular people need to be able to get that thing. That would be fun.
Man, that's a cool looking cover on Shadow 5. That Tyler Kirkham cover. Not a big Shadow guy, but that's cool.
Sync 3 from Comics Tribe. The first one sold through very quickly. Rose in value. I'm not sure about issue 2. but issue 3 looks to be just as bloody and interesting. So you should maybe check into that. Check out that cover B too. Gross.
Yeah.
But Comics Tribe is a pretty interesting company. You don't see a lot of productivity from them, but their stuff seems to be of high quality.
I got nothing else. You guys got anything else?
The final issue of The Chair from Alterna, the dollar book that Eric won't stock because it doesn't make him enough money. Not a buff markup for him, so he doesn't bother.
I'd stock 1,000 of them if I could sell them.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't seem to be catching on a lot. They barely cracking the top 300, or not even cracking the top 300. So, valiant effort, but it's just not catching on.
I give them full marks on. For the most part, they're all hitting when they're supposed to as far as date goes. I give them full marks on the presentation of going back to the newsprint, the price point, all that stuff. It's just the content. The content inside is hit or miss. And the biggest things that we've heard is that I like the writing on this one, but I don't like the art. And then the flip, I like the art, but I don't like the writing. And we haven't been able to piece the two together. And, with really cluttered and clogged shelves, it's crazy to think about it, but people would rather pay the $2.99 or $3.99 for a known quantity over the $1.50 for something they don't know.
Yeah, and who knew? But I guess that makes sense. Well, those of us who are in the comic hobby, probably certain expectations, and there's not a lot of kids going in on grabbing stuff off the spinner rack as an impulse buy anymore. So
yeah, no, and that's true. And I think part of that is there's a lot of different facets to that, but yes, I think you're correct.
We should just end the show right there where everybody says I'm correct. I like that.
In this instance, Drew, you're correct.
Let me tell you where you're wrong.
Yeah, let me tell you wrong.
All right, guys, to the point in the show when I say out of this entire week's releases, out of all the books that came out the second to last week of 2017, what is the book to run into the local comic book shop and pick up? What's the book to have, the big hot book, or the one that will be worth more and more and more as the weeks go on and on? Drew, what do you got?
Well, Eric is our guest. You can go first.
Well, I'm looking through the variants, too. I want to see if there's any goodies over there. Honestly, for me, the first thing that jumps off is, I'd have to say the Krampus Knot, the Adam Hughes cover, either the sketch or the A cover. Now, it's not a female, and Adam Hughes covers that have females on them tend to do even better, but it's still a Hughes cover, and those do tend to go quicker off the shelves than anything else. So I'm going to go with that one until I can find a variant cover, like a Dan Mora Marvel cover.
And you like the sketch on that one as well. Black and white looks really, really good on that Hughes.
I do. I like the sketch cover. However, the A cover is also a Hughes, and that's Kyle always swears by the A's. Yeah. So, I would say whichever one you prefer.
Fantastic. I'm going with X-Men Grand Design. I'm hoping it's a special book. That once people read it and get a taste of Ed Piskor, that it gets people excited about his style and is a big hit. I hope so.
And I have lost my Justin Jordan book. Backways, yes. Right? Yep. Backways #1 from Aftershock. I've been on the Aftershock train quite a bit lately, and I see no reason to derail.
We like Aftershock. I think the good folks at Cowabunga like Aftershock as well.
Sure do. We're big fans.
And Aftershock's been so good. I know some people of mine have gone straight to trade on Aftershock, so they do such a good job, it seems, with their trades and how regular they come out that people have immediately begun, it's an Aftershock title. Cool, I'll do the first trade on that.
Yep. Now, there's a couple things that we haven't talked about that are coming out on Wednesday.
Okay.
predominantly in the section of Marvel variants.
Mm-hmm.
So we still have Legacy lenticulars trickling out, but we also have a number of Phoenix variants that are coming out. So there's those, as well as we have things like the Marvel 2-in-1 number 1 Alex Ross variant, which is a 1 in 50, but the cover is awesome. There's going to be some out here that are, if you've got a few extra shekels to spend, you may end up paying $30-$40 for it, but it could be a book that turns around and gets a little hot for a little bit. So,
now, was that on the
like I was saying,
was that on the regular new release list?
You can go into the under new releases, the new printings and variants, and go. The entire month is blocked together, so we don't get week by week, but you can match up the ones.
So you have to, you have to kind of look for the date.
Yep.
Is that how you do it?
So, like, there's a Dan Mora Incredible Hulk 711 Phoenix variant. You also have a Marco Cicchetto variant of Hulk 711. You've got, what else do we got?
So now I would have covers to look at, even though they weren't in the pre-order cycle, and I could go back and maybe FOC some of these, not the stuff that's coming out this week, but the stuff that maybe hasn't hit the FOC yet. Is that right?
Yeah, or stuff like some of the stuff for January 10th that might be FOCable, depending on where we're at. But yeah, so like you got a Chris Burnham, Old Man Logan, Phoenix cover. I'm trying to think what else. You've got a Jenny Frison. Nope, I'm sorry, that's the next week. I'm a week ahead there.
That Old Man Logan is a really cool looking Phoenix cover.
You've got a Spider-Gwen, Yasmin Putri Phoenix variant, which is really cool colors. A lot of blues and purples in it. What else we got? Tales of Suspense. You got a John Taylor Christopher trading card variant. You got a Headshot variant. And you've got a Sorrentino variant. Venom 159 has a Phoenix variant by Tyler Crook.
And there's our Grand Design variants.
Yep. So there's a few of those in there as well.
More stuff than I can pay for.
Yeah, a lot of really cool stuff in there. And those Phoenix, we talked about the Thanos one I ordered. It was a really cool looking one. Who did the art on that one?
Oh, boy, that's a good question. I can't remember.
I can't remember if you know. Stop.
Yeah. I look at so many of these that I have to admit, I get cross-eyed at some points trying to piece them all together.
Definitely.
Raza. Whoever Raza. However you want to say that. That's the one who did the Thanos.
Trying to see if we've got any other goodies that are coming out in some of these other smaller publishers that may have variants. So
I need to take that. I think I need to take that list from the preview site, the new printings and variants, copy it into an Excel file so that I can sort it by date, kind of organize. Or do they add stuff every week?
It should be updated every week. As 1 week rolls off, they add another week.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But
it'd be nice to have a sortable table, though.
Yes, it would. I'll say if anyone gets into the Dynamite Entertainment variants, there is usually a pretty steady appetite for some of the 10, 20, 30 copy Dynamite Entertainment books, especially this new resurgence of things like Betty Page, Barbarella, Sheena, is it Deja Thoris? Is she coming? Yeah, Deja Thoris. So there's a good chunk of those that are actually pretty popular, especially if you get kind of the big name folks. So like on the Deja Thoris, there's a 1 in 100 J. Scott Campbell. That's going to be one that's going to have some staying power. Let's see. I know we've had like Linzer variants on Betty Page. Those will retain value. I'm trying to think what some of the other ones might be. But yeah, so if anybody ever sees those are things that are usually, as far as the variants go, those tend to have a pretty good shelf life and long legs. Just make sure that you're getting a decent rate for them, or a decent price on them. And you can look ahead. Usually a lot of the Dynamite ones as well will have some pre-sales on eBay that are sold, so you can look there, just as a recommendation. And then the other thing I would say to keep your eyes open for are if you see things like Vampirella or Red Sonja's that may be by Jenny Frison, not just because we all love Jenny Frison, but her covers on those books tend to sell really good. Predominantly she did art previously, isn't doing as much for them now, but that was really where she got her start. Small print runs and really, really popular. So that's a little off tangent, but still spec related.
Very much so.
Oh man,
yeah.
We've been doing this for 2 hours and 20 minutes, guys.
Oops.
Let's go.
I'm just getting started.
Now listen, Central Time. We do appreciate you coming on, Eric. You got anything to plug before we cut this off?
I guess the only things to plug would really be, if you're interested at all in what Cowabunga has to offer, check out our Facebook page. That's really the best way to see what we're all about. We don't get into posting, what's new this week from a new printing standpoint, because Previews World does that. But if you're a back issue collector, every Monday we drop key issues, and frequently throughout the week. So you can always see what we've got. We've done quite a bit of business through Facebook where people will call us and ask about things. So by all means, hit us up there. If you're interested in seeing what we have to offer as far as pricing, as far as what products we can offer through a pull list, just let me know. You can shoot an email to orders@cowabungacomics.com, and we'll get you squared away, and I can kind of tell you what we've got going on. One of the beautiful things is that we aren't massive to the point where we kind of lose touch with whomever is ordering from us. We try and strive to really have a little bit more of a personal touch with things, and if we see something that doesn't look right, we validate before anything gets sent, or before we order stuff, to make sure that numbers are right. So if you ever have any issues like that, we try really hard to be a cut above. And then the only other thing to say is, if you want to know more about what goes on kind of running a comic store, have any questions about what it is that we do day to day, how we plan our business, run our business. If you haven't checked out our podcast, you should. It's the Cowcast, KOWCAST, and it's James and I really kind of digging in, and every once in a while we get fun nuggets, like we've got the audio from the DC Rebirth Roadshow when Rebirth first came out, from Dan DiDio and Jim Lee. We're able to toss those things up there. But otherwise, we go into things like how events are working in the store, how we handle certain aspects of ordering, what kind of products we carry, how we set up our store, all those different things. So those are the things I've got to plug.
Fantastic.
You really chummed the waters a couple weeks ago. You dropped a Rick and Morty #1 on the Facebook page. There was a lot of people talking about, immediately messaging you about that.
Yes, there were.
That was a popular one.
It was.
Not a lot of those out there, right? Only a few thousand?
No, there's only a few thousand. I mean, it's one of those issue ones that had a very low print run. Obviously, it's not quite as spendy or popular as a Walking Dead #1, which we also dropped a few weeks ago. We've got a 9/8 Walking Dead #1. But yeah, definitely one that got a lot of people excited, and it's at an affordable price range where, well, it was at an affordable price range where a lot of people could purchase it, and it was doable.
I don't want.
Very nice, very nice.
I don't want to know. That's out of my range.
All right, we want to thank you guys for listening to Comics Fun and Profit. We want to remind everybody that if you want to send your hate mail to Drew for any of the things that he has said on today's podcast, of course, you can find him Comics Fun Profit on Twitter, comicsfunandprofit@gmail.com. We have a Facebook as well. I want to thank Eric so much for joining us for this, to help us go over everything and help us make heads or tails of some of the things that are going on in the comic world today. So for Eric, for Drew, and for myself, see ya.
Let me tell you why you're wrong.
Oh, for God's sakes.